Hello everyone, my name is Fringlish with Forgotten Games, and today we're going to go over Siege of Winterfell. Now that we're in our second season, we hope things won't change much in the future, so I'm going to hop in and we're going to go over how to basically prepare, and then go over the different objectives you have during the game. First of all, you can enter the battle anytime with half an hour to go, and you can bring up to 3 million troops. I don't have 3 million, but I'll take what I have. You then get placed on one side of the match. The match is based around the castle of Winterfell, which we can find in the centre. This will be fought over by the Starks, or Stark team in the north, and the Greyjoy team in the south. Here, as you can see, we spawn in with the Greyjoy team. Now the first thing you have to do is create your armies. This is something important to do at the start, as it would save you an awful lot of time later on. When you create your army, you have to decide how many troops you're going to send, and of what composition, as well as the commanders. The order of the commanders matter. First commander you choose will be the first one that fights, then the second, then the third. And you need to take this into account when you're looking to make a certain army composition or effects. What we're going to do is we're going to go through a theoretical idea for a spearman army. Now you could mix and match troop types, however, each troop has a different bonus or malus. Cavalry is of course the quickest. However, cavalry itself is short range. As you can see on the right hand side, it does short range attack. Next up we have infantry, another short range, a bit slower, but generally a bit tankier. Then we have spearmen, which are medium range, meaning they can engage and normally get a hit off first. However, they are the slowest troop in the game, meaning if you have spearmen in your army, they will be a lot slower. And finally we have bowmen. Bowmen actually march at the same speed as infantry, and they have a very long range, meaning that a good combination could be combining infantry and bowmen into one army, in order to provide more damage further on and then tankiness of the infantry. Now if we look to create a theoretical spearman army, we're going to start by going over the commanders. First of all, each commander has an ability, as well as bonuses. Here you can see Annie's ability is the Song of Wisdom. The rage cost is 1000, meaning she needs to build up a 1000 rage before fighting, and then her ability activates, which creates an AoE that does healing. Now in a spearman formation, she's not very strong in terms of actual bonuses, only giving 7.5% health and so on, because I've only got her grey. However, by fighting in a formation, that ability will enable you to heal yourself and some allies. So if we're going for a spearman formation, we might want to start with a different spearman here, at least for the core. Garrel, for example, has a rage cost of 650 and reduces the enemy's defense of infantry and cavalry and attack of their spearmen and bowmen, as well as all troops' health by a rather large amount. You want to get this probably off in the start of the combat, so therefore Garrel will probably be our first bet. Then after that, if we think about the way the combat cycle have gone, Garrel managed to get his ability off quite quickly, 650 rage. Then we might want a healer, so we click Annie and her ability will be next. So when fighting, we'll generate 650, Garrel will activate his ability, then next 1000 will go towards Annie, and then we'll finish off probably maybe with Arslan, who has another very quick ability allowing it to cycle it back to Garrel. And here we go. We can see by putting these three commanders in, first of all we'll reduce the defense and attack of the various enemies, then we will heal ourselves, and then we will deal even more damage and reduce the enemy's rage, hopefully stopping them from getting a third ability off. Also increasing your attack just in time for Garrel to reduce the defense and health again. They also provide a good spearman attack bonus, spearman defense, and a bit of spearman health. Again, not the strongest stat-wise because we put Annie as grey in there, but I'm confident the healing will be good. Then what we'll do is we'll simply add the spear troops to completely cover it, and we shall click on Save Pre-Edit Formations. This allows me with this formation to click this button and lock in this army. Once that's done, we now have locked in army at number 1. You need to do this before each event because you can bring in different troops and commanders. So if we close and then we want to create another army, we simply have to click the first one, click March, and our army comes straight out. Now I'll make another army of infantry, another army of cavalry, and you can see just how different the marching is. And now, a general tactic for most people is to have an army of each. The reason for this is because, of course, spears counters cavalry, cavalry counters infantry, and infantry counters spears. By looking at the first commander, you can often tell what sort of formation you're running, and therefore you want to counter appropriately. In order to select all armies, you can click on this button here. This allows you to move all your armies as a group. And as we can see, the cavalry army will take about 1 minute, the infantry 1 minute 15, and the spearmen will take 1 minute 25. Because the travel time in between most objectives is over 2 minutes, this could mean 20 seconds in between your cavalry and spearmen, so make sure to keep an eye on it. If you only want to choose one army to go ahead, say I've got a cavalry army incoming, I can choose the appropriate army down below by clicking on the number keys. 1 for spears, 2 for infantry, or 3 for cav in this instance, allowing me to choose exactly where to send my troops. There are a couple other further commands you could add to your army. If you want to leave a troop at a building and automatically engage people who walk into that radius, you can use the Garrison button. Here, for example, I only have my cavalry selected. By putting them next to a building and then clicking Garrison, they will then garrison this building and try and protect it, meaning less micromanagement. Or, if my troops got very damaged, I could hit the R button to return them. However, in order to return, your troops have to be A, not moving, and B, not in combat. However, you should make use of the recall mechanic when you can. Now we'll have a look at the objectives and how to gain points in Siege of Winterfell. There are 2 different ways to gain points in Siege of Winterfell. The first is by capturing any of the buildings on the map, and the second is by gathering resources from Winterfell itself and taking it to any one of your controlled buildings. Whichever team first captures a building gets a substantial amount of points, normally equal to about 2 to 5 minutes worth of control, but then you get a further bonus for each minute you hold the building. The first buildings are the Greyjoy and Stark outposts. These are exactly the same, apart from the fact that 2 are in the north and 2 are in the south. When you first capture this building, you gain 200 points, and for every minute you hold it, you gain a continuous 80 points. Next, we have the outposts themselves. These 4 outposts surround Winterfell, giving you 600 points for a first capture and 180 points a minute. It's normally to these outposts that you deliver the resource from Winterfell. After Winterfell resource is unlocked, you need to pick it up with an army. The army that picks up the resource is extremely slow, however delivering this resource will net you 4,000 points. The second time this resource spawns on the map, it will be worth 5,000. The third time 6,000, and then 7, and 8, and 9,000, and so on. After you hand in a resource, it takes 5 minutes for the next resource to respawn, which is just about enough time to move to one end of the map and then back to Winterfell. Therefore, fighting over the key points and outposts is very important. Finally, on either side of the map, furthest away from Winterfell, there are 2 special buildings. One called the Hot Spring, which gives you 400 points on capture and 120 points a minute. That gives you a 100% boost to healing speed, meaning that it could be advantageous to capture this at strategic times, so your whole alliance can benefit and heal troops. The second is the Armory, where capturing this gives your entire alliance a 50% boost to army attack, defense, and health. Maybe something to go for just before you go for a big push. Unlike a few other game modes, there are no actual bonuses from killing the enemy's armies or castles. However, it's very difficult for the enemy to capture points if they're dead. Holding all the buildings will net you just over 1,200 points a minute, meaning that capturing all the buildings is actually more important than the resources at Winterfell, even though they can be rather substantial. Fortunately, that's all I have time for on the Siege of Winterfell. I'm not going to go into all the tips, tricks and tactics because I want to win as well. But if you pop onto the Discord, I'll be happy to answer any questions and give you some tips there. Thank you very much for watching. please leave a like down below, it really helps out the channel. Until the next time, toodles.